Hello everyone, my name is Franco, and in this video I'm going to talk about stuff that you actually need as a beginner photographer slash videographer. Let's begin. So I'll be the first to admit that I am a beginner photographer slash videographer, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to show you the same crazy gear that people like, for example, Peter McKinnon would show you. But the problem with them is that because they are so successful, they might end up recommending you stuff that you don't actually need. And I am not accusing them, I am a big admirer, and obviously they don't do this on purpose, but it's just the nature of how things work. They do videos that are more geared towards intermediate slash advanced people. Many of them are for beginners, but if they do gear recommendations, that's not usually for beginners because beginners can't afford it. Or sometimes they can just barely afford it, which is even more dangerous because they end up buying something that they don't actually need. Whereas I am a complete beginner. I'll be the first to admit it, which means that I take a lot of consideration when I'm buying new gear, and I try to buy good value stuff that I know that will help me but won't break the bank. And in this video I'm going to share with you what kind of stuff I bought for myself. Now I just want to be clear, you're not meant to buy this all at once. I actually bought most of this all at once because there was a sale going on or something, I don't remember what. But usually you just buy like the camera, like you'd buy one piece first and then you buy another piece and then you buy another piece and you'd slowly go growing your inventory, let's say. But oh well, without further ado, let's jump into the video. So let's start with the bag. And I'm not going to specifically recommend you this bag. I just bought whatever was cheapest. This one literally costs $75, but it's surprisingly high quality. But yeah, you just buy something that's cheap that will carry all the gear that you have. I specifically bought a backpack and not just like a shoulder bag because I wanted something where I could carry all of my stuff, even if I had like a jumper or if I was taking lunch or something like that. I wanted to be able to have just one backpack and not have to carry two backpacks. But even this backpack is a little bit small, if I'm going to be honest with you. So yeah, I have a water bottle here for demonstration purposes, but usually I would have my tripod here, which is a Manfrotto tripod. Unfortunately, I can't show it because I'm using it to record, as well as my camera, my light and my microphone, which I will share with you in a while. This bag is an Endeavor bag. That's the name of the brand, I think. As you can see, I'm not even sure what the name is, but it doesn't matter. It's really surprisingly high quality. The handle has good grip. We have some good shoulder straps with a lot of kind of tactical storage that you end up never actually using, but you got the option. And then you get some straps. So every time I'm walking with this backpack, people ask me if I'm going on a hike, just because I have these straps. But these straps, you can actually take them off. So you have a Velcro here, and with that Velcro, you can take off the straps. Then they have some clips here. Just do the clips like that. And then it's just more of a normal backpack, if you will. And then these are the straps. I took them off, so I'm not going to put them on. And then they have some pockets. So in my first pocket, I have my wallet. So if you're going to rob me, you already know where to go. And then in the other one, now I don't have anything except for a COVID mask that I don't use because I'm in Australia, baby. COVID doesn't happen here. All right, so let's jump into the bag. And the first thing that I'll do is I'll open this zip at the back here to show you what I think is the first piece of gear that everyone needs. And that is, of course, a laptop. So if we're gonna be technical, you don't actually need a laptop. You can have just a phone and edit pictures and videos on your phone. But obviously a laptop is much easier and much better and much more powerful to use. So I have a MacBook Air, and I hope you like the stickers that I have on there. I made an unboxing about this laptop, so you can watch it up there or up there. I don't know where the it is. But you don't need such an expensive laptop. Just start off with what you have. If you need to put down the resolution of your timeline, put it down, do anything you can so that you don't have to spend a bunch of money. I bought this one after like a long time of thinking and saving and blah, 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 blah. So if we go to the next compartment, I'll just open up here. And then I have second piece of equipment. You don't actually need this. I just have this just to show that you can carry more than just camera stuff. But I have a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. It's a really, really bad one. Don't buy this one. And then this is really important. An SSD. Now I do really recommend an SSD, especially because most computers have like 1000 gigs of storage, which you think is a lot. So it has like 1 tera. You think it's a lot, but it's not once you start shooting videos and photos. And especially my laptop, which only has 500 gigs of storage, it's definitely not going to be enough. So you can buy an HDD, which usually is a bit cheaper and it's bigger storage. So you can have like 4 terabytes or something like that, but they are really slow and and hopefully you'll be able to edit off of these. And if you have an HDD, it will go much slower. So I really recommend you invest in an SSD. This is the Samsung why can't I talk? The Samsung portable SSD, the T7, which is protected by password, which is really cool, but just any SSD will do. This one specifically has 1 terabyte. I recommend 1 terabyte. I know they can be expensive, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. The next thing we have is a mouse, and this is actually not essential. I'm not recommending you to buy it. I'm just showing off that I have a really cool editor's mouse. This is the Logitech MX Master 2S. I love this mouse, although for some reason it doesn't work really good with Mac. I need to figure out the settings. Then because I have a MacBook which is specific to me, I have an adapter. Dongle life, I know. Dongle life in 2020, 22 or 23, depending on when you watch this. That's crazy, but yeah, I have a dongle here. This specifically is a Belkin dongle, which has 2 USB 3 ports, an SD slot. It says PD, but that's USB-C slot, HDMI, and Ethernet. So this one was also pretty expensive, but I think it was worth it. I just want to have all the options that I can. Then we have the power brick and the cord for the laptop. As you can see, some stuff I just have it loose in here. And then I have this little thing, the rapid storage thing, where I just keep some cables that I might need. Just normal USB to USB-C, USB-C to USB-C, blah, 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 all of that. And then obviously I would have my tripod here, as I said, the Manfrotto, and then you have these little clips to put it on. And then if we open the main compartment, this is where the camera would actually be housed. This is what you see. Now it's really nice. It's actually pretty big. For a beginner photographer, you can put a lot of stuff in here. I don't have the stuff here because I'm using it to film, but I'll make some B-roll of it later. So if you're gonna take just one recommendation from this video, that would be the camera. So obviously, if you have a good iPhone or something like that, you can record just with your iPhone. But if you're ready and you want to jump into the world of cameras and you want to buy your first camera, I highly recommend the Canon M50. So this is a mirrorless camera. And when I look for a camera, in this case, my first camera ever actually, what I was looking for was something that's obviously good for photography, something that's good to film videos, something that has a swivel screen, something that has a jack so I can plug in my microphone, and something where I can interchange lenses. So I don't want one fixed lens, but I want interchangeable lenses. And then different brands have different advantages. For example, Sony is really good for low light, but Canon is really good for autofocus. I'm using autofocus right now, and I can literally see on the swivel screen how the focus is just on my eyes, and I'm literally moving around and I can see it following my eyes. So autofocus is great in a Canon camera, and if you're vlogging, that is really important. So yeah, Canon M50, it goes, I think it's around $1,000 US, and in my case it's the Mark II, which means that I can also use it as a webcam, which is not necessary, but it's cool to have. That's my first recommendation. Really good camera. So then I'm just gonna pretend like I had the stuff here. So first of all, the Canon M50 comes included with a 15 to 50 milliliter lens. And honestly, if you're just beginning, that's great. Just keep that. You don't need anything else. What I did though is I bought myself the Nifty 50. So this is a 50 milliliter lens, and it's a normal Canon lens. So you have the DSLR cameras, which use, I think it's called an EF mount. And then you have mirrorless cameras like this one, which is a APS-C sensor. So it just uses a EF-M mount, which basically means it's a smaller mount, which means that on top of the camera, I had to buy an adapter. So this is the adapter. If you have a Canon M50, this adapter is going to be really cool because you can buy lenses for bigger cameras and you can just put it on there. And then on there I have the Nifty 50. Well, it's not a zoom lens, but it's really good because it has a lower aperture, which gives you greater depth of focus. But it's really bad if you're going to do any sort of movement. If I use this lens, I'm just using it on a tripod and nothing else. Then another thing that I have, and again, this is something that is not essential. So if I show you something that I think is not essential, I'll straight up tell you. I think this is not essential. There's a bit of discussion about that. Some people would probably disagree with me, but basically this is an aperture portable light. So again, I don't have the light in here. I'm using it to film, and it really helps keep the focus on my face instead of the background. If I didn't have the light, I would have this light here, which would be too bright, the light up there, which would be too bright, and I would be a little bit in the shade, which I don't want. So this light is really good. And because I'm traveling, I can't afford to have a big light with me, so this light is perfect. I can just put it on the mount of the camera. If you're just starting, maybe leave this for last. I don't think this is a priority. I know that it is said in filmmaking that lighting is basically the most important thing, so maybe research other people, because I know that people will disagree with me on this one. But I think there's an order in which you buy stuff, and for example, camera would be first, and then I think lighting would be last. Like I think, for example, audio is more important than lighting, especially if you're doing just YouTube videos. But that's just my opinion. You're welcome to disagree. So yeah, as I said, this is the Aperture light, which is really cool. If I would have to recommend one for travelers, I would recommend this one. It comes with certain films, so I can either make it like more of a softy look, soft box, then I can change the color. I have this one, which is like an orangey and then like blue, so I can achieve the typical orange and teal look if I wanted to. And then yeah, it just comes with a cable to charge it and all of that. I think once you are able to afford it, it's good to have replacements of stuff. So for example, I have two SD cards, one now with 16 gigs and one with 64 gigs. And the 64 gigs is the one that's in here. And then I even have like some adapters for micro SD cards and micro SD cards, obviously. And then another thing that I have replacements for is this. So this is a typical Canon battery, obviously with the charger. So I have one charger there and one charger here. My first project that I ever did for a client, which was voluntary work, I did not get paid, but it was horrible. It was horrible because I run out of battery on the first like 2 hours, and then the rest of the day I was just like charging the battery, and while I was charging I was using my phone, and then when the battery charged I would use the camera, and then it would run out again because I didn't charge it fully. Then I had to go back to the phone, and that was a mess. So from then I bought another battery. It was just like 100 New Zealand dollars, which is maybe like, I don't know, like 70 US dollars or something like that. So that's a recommendation if you can. Again, it's not a priority, but I do recommend you buy spare SD cards and spare batteries. Next thing, and again, I am using this right now. You can see it on here. And this, yes, is essential. If you're gonna make photos, no, but if you're gonna make videos, I do think this is essential, and that is a microphone. I just have here the traveling pack. As you can see, I've had this for maybe 4 years or something, so it's completely destroyed. And in my case, I have the BOYA, I think it's called the BOYA BYM1 or something like that. I'll leave the name down here. The problem with this is that it's a lapel mic, so it has a really long cable, and it's great if I'm filming in conditions like this, but if I'm moving around, it's not good. If you're gonna buy a microphone yourself, I would rather recommend something like what Casey Neistat has. Yeah, so I'll just leave photos and the names of the ones that I would recommend if I was you. I already talked about the tripod, but I do think it's really important that you have some form of stabilization. It is like you want to buy it eventually, but it doesn't have to be the first thing that you buy. Some form of stabilization can be either a gimbal, it can be a tripod, or another gimbal, or a tripod. So it's basically any of those. I do a lot of videos of this sort with talking heads and stuff like that. So for me, a tripod made sense. I am eventually going to buy a gimbal, and I already know which one. It's just a matter of saving and buying it. That's why you can see that it is not everything bought at once. But yeah, it depends what sort of videos. If you do almost exclusively travel videos and like cinematographic stuff, I would recommend a gimbal. But if you do a lot of talking head like this, then a tripod will be good. Obviously, the best would be if you had both, but you also don't need it immediately. You can film a lot of stuff just with your phone or with your camera and just putting it on tables and stuff like that. Okay, so I almost forgot about this, but this is pretty important. It's also really the last thing that you have to buy. It's not as essential as the other stuff, but it is really important, and it's definitely going to bring up your game a little bit. What is it? It's an ND filter. So this is basically like sunglasses for your lens. I can literally show you right now. So that's way too dark. Let me put it on minimum. This is a variable ND filter, as you can see. So this one's a variable ND filter, which means that I can control how dark or how bright it is. I don't remember the brand of this. This was just a cheap one. There's a difference between cheap ones and good ones. Cheap ones can have a little bit of coloring and a little bit of a vignette effect that you might not want to have. So do a little bit of research, but for me, this one is more than enough, at least for now. And yeah, this is not as essential as the other stuff. As soon as you have everything else, I would say for an ND filter, they're relatively cheap. The best time to film is always going to be at golden hour or like just in the morning or in the evening. And in those situations, you have very good light and that will be good. But the problem is that you can't always choose when you're going to be filming. Eventually, no matter what, you're going to end up filming at midday with high sun. It's going to be high noon, and everything's going to have very strong shadows, and there's going to be a big difference between the highlights and the shadows. So I really recommend to have an ND filter for those situations. It's basically just sunglasses for your camera. All right, so Casey Neistat style. This is the order that you should buy everything in. Okay, so let's let it focus. Pause on that because I'm not gonna be holding this here all the time. So basically you wanna start off with the PC. If you already have one, that's great. You can start filming with your phone and doing photos with your phone and just use your PC to learn to edit and learn composition with your phone and all of that. And after that, I would recommend an SSD. Maybe you can even buy this at the same time as the PC, just because you want to be able to store everything on there and you don't want to use the storage of your PC, which you wanna use for games, probably CSGO. You've got more important stuff to keep in there. And then after that, I would buy the camera. And honestly, at the same time I buy the camera, I would buy a microphone, because the microphones on the camera are honestly just. Then if you want, on top of that, you can buy a bag to store all of your expensive stuff, extra batteries and extra SD cards. So this will probably be the most expensive day, because I do recommend you buy all of this at the same time. That's what I did, and it does really help. So just camera, microphone, bag, and extra batteries and SSDs. But you can do just camera and microphone, or just camera and then microphone, or just camera and microphone and then bag, and then extra batteries. Do however the you want. I don't give a okay, I'm pissed at you. And then after that, I would buy stabilization, as I said, either a tripod or a gimbal. And then lastly, I would buy lighting. Now this is specifically for me because I am a traveler. If you have a home with a lot of space, then maybe lighting would be higher up in the list. But this is just for me. Again, for me, my next step is going to be, I have two options. It's either going to be action cam, so a GoPro. I think I would like to invest and get a good GoPro because I would be using it a lot. Or it would be a drone. So I guess we'll see. But as I say, this is the stuff that's essential. You don't buy everything at once. You buy one thing and then you go evolving and you buy more and more and more and more and more. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to drop a like down below. If you want to see more content of this type, or even travel vlogs or tech reviews, I do really a lot of stuff. You can subscribe to my channel and check out all the other videos I've done. And leave a comment down below with what video you'd like to see in the future, if you have any questions, anything that I can help you with. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.